Do you hear the music at all?
Nope.
All right, it says it's playing. All right, well, either way, we're live now, so I guess I'll edit that in post. So, welcome to Winning Cures Everything. I am Gary.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Tuesday, August 10th edition of the show. It is the live show. Hopefully, all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays wherever you might be. We have got some things to talk about today. It's not going to be a long show. We are going to hit some football topics, and then it's time for... Matt said there's no sound. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm hearing sound. I'm seeing sound. But I do not see, like... All right, you guys jump in the chat. Tell me if there's sound or not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Either way, it's recording, so we're rolling. We've got the NFC West to discuss today. We've gone 2 straight shows without our NFL previews. We're going to dive into that. So, with that said, let's go ahead and give you the rundown on what you need to know. Matt said that your names are flipped too.
Are you kidding me?
You are looking live.
Winning Cures Everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
We got music. We got the names right. It's Winning Cures Everything. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we have got football to talk about today. I guess second time is the charm. We had some guys jump in on the last one to explain that we did not have things set up correctly, and I tested stuff beforehand, but apparently it was not done right. That is my fault. I apologize for that. But here we go. We got the second one going on. We are ready to rock and roll. Hopefully you are as well. We're going to talk football, and then we're going to talk previews. And hopefully all of you are ready for that. Let's go ahead and do the rundown. You can find everything you need to know about us over on the website. WinningCuresEverything.com is the place to go. You can subscribe to the podcast there. You can subscribe to the YouTube page over there. You can follow us on Twitter. Everything you need to know, you find right there, WinningCuresEverything.com. The show is brought to you by BetUS.com. That is your gambling stop for the season. They got everything that you could possibly want to gamble on right there. Very easy to do. The deposits are easy. The cash out is easy. I have actually used them for 15 years now. I'm 38, close to 39, and I mean, from the time that I started being able to gamble, I've been using them. So I know that they're trustworthy. So go and check them out. NFL stuff. I mean, they got everything you could possibly want over there, etc. So there is a link in the description. Go ahead and check that out. You can use the promo code NCAAF125. It's in the description. Easy to find. But that'll give you a 125% deposit bonus if you like to use the bonus stuff. If you don't, hey, it's all good. You just deposit that way. So I also do the BetUS College Football Show. I believe the first show is tomorrow, August the 11th. And Chris does the SBR College Football Show with our buddy Sam from the Westlake Pirates. You can find the link to both of those right down in the description if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast. Very easy to do. Chris, what's y'all schedule this year? Is it Tuesday, Saturday, or Tuesday something else?
Yep. No, just Tuesday, Saturday.
Tuesday, Saturday. All right, so ours will be Wednesday, Thursday. So we're not overlapping. You can go check out both. Very easy to do. Chris, let's dive in. Let's go ahead and knock this thing out. Will Muschamp is back in an on-field position, this time at the University of Georgia. Scott Cochran, former Alabama strength coach, is taking a leave of absence from the Georgia Bulldogs. The statement released from head coach Kirby Smart down in Georgia said, Coach Cochran is currently dealing with health issues and is taking time to prioritize his mental health and well-being. We fully support him as he takes this time to focus on his well-being. And with that said, Dan Lanning spoke with the media on Tuesday, today, and he said that while Muschamp is filling in for special teams coordinator Scott Cochran, during that absence, since he will have an on-field role, he is able to recruit, et cetera, he will also be in the defensive meeting rooms. Lanning said, I definitely think he will be involved on defense. Said he's going to be in there. He is going to be a part of this defensive staff. So Will Muschamp goes from being the head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks to being an analyst at Georgia, now to being the special teams coordinator, quote unquote. And now he's going to be in the defensive room with Kirby Smart and Dan Lanning. I don't even know what to say about this. There were rumors about the Scott Cochran thing going on all weekend. Seth Emerson over at The Athletic is the first one that actually reported it. He covers Georgia for them. And I don't know if this is, obviously if somebody's dealing with mental health stuff, and it's become a much bigger thing lately. People are more willing to admit when they have got issues, which I think is good. I'm curious if this is, if there's something else at play here. Do you feel like there's anything else at play, or is this just, Cochran needed a break and wanted to go and handle himself, and now they happen to have Will Muschamp on staff?
I think they said that he's doing this for health reasons, and then later said for mental health, as well. I think he's got I think he has a medical issue. Okay, that's what I think he has, which is personal, and there's none of our business. But I think he has a medical issue that he's dealing with, and we don't know what that could possibly be.
Yeah. No, I am surprised that they were able to keep it this quiet. They honestly did not want to say anything until...
It's a special teams coach. You're surprised that they can keep that quiet? Who the hell's digging into his life?
Well, it's because he's such a high-profile character, right? That's the biggest issue, because Cochran...
He's a special teams coach.
Yes, he's a special teams coach, but he's also... This past year, he was one of their best recruiters, from what I understand, or at least from what I've been told. And
yeah, but nobody knows anything about the personal life of any of the recruiters that are the best recruiters on the team.
Oh, no. I was talking about keeping the fact that Cochran was not there quiet. Apparently, he's been gone for a little bit. I wasn't saying the personal stuff with him quiet. I was talking about the fact that he was gone quiet. And they wanted to not even let it be known necessarily until Kirby started getting asked questions about it at the press conference. So at that point, then it was a very short statement. He's dealing with health issues, taking time to prioritize his mental health and well-being. We fully support him as he takes this time to focus on his well-being. Hopefully, everything ends up okay. Cochran is beloved in this conference. Everybody knows who he is. He's, the yeah guy from Saban's staff that jumped over to Georgia. But yeah, it's a little crazy. Matt Miller jumping in. He said, steroids do lead to medical issues, just saying. And he said, Muschamp, great defensive coach, terrible head coach. Hey, by the way, Matt Miller said, hey, Chris, good hair day.
Yeah, I got cleaned up a little bit.
It does look nice. It does look very nice. I will say that. So, Will Muschamp back in an on-field role very quickly. Did not take long, obviously. Who is to know how long he will actually be in that position? Hopefully, Scott Cochran can come back fairly quickly. Let's talk about is this big college football news of the day? This is what's been tossed around everywhere. Birdie jumps in, said what's up. If anybody else wants to jump in on the chat, you can do so. Anything that you type in will be tossed to the screen, which I'm actually going to toss up there now. Boom. We can just put it right in the middle of the screen. So, there we go. So the Coaches Poll. The top 25 is out. They released this one. The AP poll will be out on August 16th. And, obviously, if it's got rankings, the vast majority of people are going to click on it just to see what number is next to whatever team, right? But I looked at this, and I'm not sure what to think about it. I made a few notes here. I'll read through the top 10 right quick. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, Clemson. 3, Oklahoma. 4, Ohio State. 5, Georgia. 6, Texas A&M. 7, Notre Dame. 8, Iowa State. 9, North Carolina. 10, Cincinnati. Not going to do the whole top 25, but I will talk about some of the overrated, underrated, whatever. The numbers just don't line up with what I assumed they would based on preseason magazines, based on what I know about these teams. Do you think at this point coaches just rank teams based on what they are used to these teams doing?
Yes.
That's what I think. I don't know why we have a coaches poll. Maybe that's a conversation we need to have.
The reason we have a coaches poll is because whatever newspaper or magazine or whatever that publishes it every year needs it because they need content.
Yeah, but is
there a dying industry?
Surely, because it's the USA Today what is it, AFCA Coaches Poll. Yeah, it's just saying it's the USA Today Coaches Poll. But either way, I don't understand why coaches would even take the time to do this unless they benefit.
They
Well, it's SIDs, right?
Steve Spurrier years ago finally admitted to the fact that he just has a staffer do all this stuff.
Yeah, SIDs. Right?
Yeah. And that's it. And I guarantee you everyone else does too. Ed Orgeron and Nick Saban did not pick this thing up at all.
So it's basically just based on reputation, et cetera, et cetera. So this poll serves.
And whoever fills it out is instructed, don't make waves.
Yeah. Like just pick something and don't do anything crazy. Don't put Arkansas at number 3. Like that way I don't have to try and defend this later. Like I can defend almost anything, but don't do anything that's indefensible. The overrated stuff, I've got Alabama as overrated at number 1. I just do not understand why everybody continues to toss Alabama at the very top of it. I understand Saban's a great coach, blah, 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 but they lost a ton. I got Notre Dame as overrated at number 7. They lost a bunch as well. Florida at 11, I've got overrated, and I've got Indiana at 17 as overrated. Those are the quick hitters for me. And then underrated, Georgia at 5, I feel like they should be higher. Cincy at 10, I feel like Cincinnati should be, top 7 or 8. They bring back everybody, including their quarterback. And Iowa State, I've got them as underrated at number 8. I've got Louisiana, Coastal, both underrated at 23 and 24. And then Liberty is not even ranked, and I feel like they should be.
Yep,
so
I agree with all that.
That's
except for the Georgia part, but I agree with all that.
I figured as much.
Well, I mean, they're ranked 5th.
Right.
For us to preseason rank them more than that?
I feel like Georgia should be higher than Alabama right now.
Okay.
Like heading into the season.
But that's just preseason bullshit.
Yeah, this is all, we've talked about this forever. I mean, it's bogus. So if you guys want to jump in into your comments, into the chat, Matt said Oklahoma should be 1 or 2. That's coming from a Texas fan. Also, F preseason rankings in general. Yes, 100%. Andrew said, who would you have as your 1, Gary, if it's not Bama? I would have Oklahoma as my number 1. That's just me personally. Chris, who would you have number 1?
That's probably the right answer, by the way.
That's
probably who I would have.
I'd have Oklahoma, Georgia, Clemson, then probably Alabama, I guess, although there's no way to know what this team is going to do.
Clemson over Alabama when Clemson lost just as much, and they weren't nearly as good.
Clemson brings back, 9 starters on defense, and I've at least seen their quarterback play. And I'm not supposed to do this based on schedule, but I also know that, Clemson plays nobody.
Yeah. All right. Then we can just write Clemson in at number 1 every time because they're going to go undefeated every year.
Yeah. No, that's what makes it so weird.
One loss when they have the coin flip game against the non-con, and that's it.
Yeah, it's good. I am so pumped about this Georgia Clemson game. I cannot wait. Birdie said, "How is Clemson that high? What am I missing?" Easy. They got more talent than everybody in the ACC, and they're favored over Georgia. They'll probably beat Georgia. I take that back. I don't think they will. But
if coaching has anything to do with it, they're going to beat the hell out of Georgia.
Probably so. All right. So Will, you ready to jump off of that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured you might be. All right. Let's talk a little bit of NFL before we jump into our previews. Sam Ehlinger, former Texas quarterback, now a rookie quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, has apparently jumped up and closed the gap between he and Jacob Eason, who is the second quarterback on the roster. But, of course, with Carson Wentz being out, whoever wins this job is going to be the starter for week 1. Would you have ever guessed that Sam Ehlinger could possibly be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts when this thing kicks off?
Well, yeah, I thought there was a slim possibility, but that's only because his quarterback room consisted of Carson Wentz
and Jacob Eason.
And
Brett Hundley, who was at Green Bay, and then
Brett Hundley is one of the worst quarterbacks in football.
Yeah.
So adding him was just somebody said we need to set a couple $100,000 on fire. Let's go get Brett Hundley.
Yeah,
set that shit on fire right now.
They took 4 guys in knowing that somebody was going to end up getting hurt, I would imagine. The report from Mike Wells over at ESPN says Ehlinger, who was selected in the 6th round of this year's draft, split first-team practice reps with Eason in practice on Tuesday, will continue to do so in Thursday and Friday's joint practices against the Carolina Panthers. Frank Reich said, against the Panthers in the game on Sunday, I won't try to split like that. We'll just let one guy go. Jacob will probably start. Sam will probably come in whenever, but that's up for debate. So Reich said Eason was in the driver's seat to be the starter, but things have changed as that Eason was getting almost all of the first-team reps, and Ehlinger has played so well that now they're splitting them, and who knows what's going to happen after that preseason game.
So let me tell you what I think. I think normally I care nothing about preseason at all. But if you're going to watch preseason games, watch the Colts.
Yes,
because I think you're going to see the starter play a lot for a long time. Or there's more starters play longer and actually try stuff because they need to figure out which one of these guys can be a quarterback. Birdie says he thinks Wentz will play week 1, boys. I don't think that's how medical science works.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. I don't.
They gave us a 5 to 12 week window. He's not coming back in 4.
No.
Or 5.
And would you bring Wentz back, even if he does get whatever healthy by week 1? If
no
Quentin,
practice at all.
No practice at all, and if you don't have Quentin Nelson there to block for him.
No.
I'd toss out one of the rookies. Or Eason, the second year.
It's a foot injury for a mobile quarterback who's not very good at all anymore. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Matt Miller said Sam has a non-brain dead play caller and good pass protecting O-line now. Andrew said, I feel like Eason makes that offense incredibly boring and predictable. Well, I mean, that's what he did at Georgia and Washington, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what Reich is going to do. Obviously, I think that we both think very highly of Frank Reich. So
I do a lot. I think he's one of the best play calling, head coaches in the game. He's probably one of the best play callers in the game. He's in the same conversation with me as Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and those guys.
Yes.
I don't see. Look, he's not as young or as pretty as those guys, but this is football, man. I don't give a shit about that.
Same here.
A whole lot of TV people care about that. I don't either. So, Wentz isn't playing week 1, says Matt Miller, on a bad foot versus that schedule with no Nelson not happening. Yeah, they got the Seahawks in week 1, so no. And then Matt said, you have to get his tissues back up to tolerating the speed and demands needed to play, so the smart thing to do is grade him back into playing. So Matt, you're watching this. You have heard about these foot injuries. I know that you know all about this. This is not a 5-week injury. This is more so closer to the 12-week, I would imagine. And I'll let him respond, but I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Sam Ehlinger, who I didn't think could throw the football based on what I saw at Texas, I did not think that he would even be in contention for this job. Birdie said he runs on first down way too much. Matt said that the injury is much closer to 12 weeks. 12 weeks is going to be rough. That's going to be rough. So we'll see what the Colts end up doing. There is no telling. You ready to jump into previews? Yep.
Let's do this thing. We are discussing the NFC West today, and we're going to kick this off with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals win total sits at 8.5. Their over-under is minus 115 for both. Division odds, they're number 4 to win the division, plus 500. Not expected to. Obviously, this is a pretty rough division. This may be the strongest division in all of the NFL. To win the NFC, they are plus 1,400. To make the playoffs, they are plus 165, minus 200 to not make the playoffs. Projected favorites in 9 games, and their strength of schedule is the 24th easiest, which is, the 8th most difficult? So, is what it is there. They went over in 2020, but before that, push under for the 4 years prior to that. Kyler Murray ranked number 12 in EPA per dropback, but he was only number 26 in yards per attempt. So, big question about this, was Kyler Murray actually kind of dinged up at the end of last season? If so, he's likely to improve this year on what his numbers were last year. The combination of J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones on the defensive line could be awesome, maybe. The free agent acquisitions sound great, but it could backfire if they end up looking really old this season because they got some old school veterans up in there. NFC West on paper, toughest division. Defense projected to be the sixth toughest. They're facing the sixth toughest defensive schedule this season. That's not going to be easy. And they were 8th in fumble recovery luck last season and 6th in net touchdown percentage in the red zone. That you're going to see a regression this year. You're not going to have as many close wins as you did if that regresses. Everybody loves the Cardinals because of the J.J. Watt thing and Kyler Murray and Cliff and da-da-da-da-da. Man, I'm going under this 8.5. I don't think they could keep up what they did last season. They went 8-8 last year. I just don't see them getting to 9 even in a 17-game schedule this year with this schedule.
Yeah, no chance. This team, yeah, they're going to go backwards. They were trending backwards last year anyway. They got off to a hot start, whatever, and they're just not going to be able to sustain that. And it's simply Cliff Kingsbury could not win at the college level. He was a 500 head coach or worse every year at the college level. Who on earth thinks I can move from the college game to the pro game and it just be the exact same? No,
you got me.
That is just simply not how this works.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
You're not a great coach. You cannot win. And I don't care how great the players are around you. And trust me, J.J. Watt is not going to produce this year like he did last year. I can assure you of that, okay? I know they're hoping to get the last little life out of A.J. Green, but A.J. Green's not coming back anymore. Like, that's not the same guy that was in Cincinnati who would make an unbelievable catches. You're talking about injury after injury after injury, man. It's just not going to happen. I got this team at best 6-11.
I had them maybe at 7 wins, but I think 6-11 is much more likely. I don't see it. I don't see what people are talking about with this. I don't think the defense is as good, even with the guys that they brought in. Andrew says, is Cliff on the hot seat?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah,
you have to be.
Because they've invested too much in the offensive side of this ball game team for them to not continue to win.
Well, and if you bring in J.J. Watt and you don't make the playoffs, yeah, because they spend a ton of money on him. Matt Miller said, Chris, do you think Cliff is pretty?
Absolutely.
I don't know of anybody that wouldn't think that.
And I'll tell you, he's like the kind of pretty that if you're not a gay man, but you kind of wanted to try it out, like that's the kind of guy I think would be easy on you.
Yeah, I think so. Bertie said, why, Chris? If Jones doesn't get traded, who are you doubling? Watt graded out very high on PFF. Yeah, we've talked about this in the offseason. Watt hits really nicely every other season.
Year. Go look at his splits. Go look at his splits for the last, 8 years. Just pick a random number and look at his splits and look at the percentages of defensive snaps he takes in 1 year and then the next year. Last year, he took like 90-something% of the snaps.
The season before
it was like 14%, okay? And then the year before that, it was like 80-something. And then the year before that, it was like 17%. I'm going to tell you, he's older, and he just played more than he's ever played in his life. And he played it to try to get another contract. It was a contract year, and he got that contract. He's just not going to produce this year. You could tell me all you want about the guys around him. I don't care. I don't care about anybody else around him.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do like Chandler Jones a lot, but, like
this defense has a lot bigger problems than a couple of guys trying to rush the passer.
No, you're right about that. You are 100% right about that. I'm curious to see what they'll end up looking like, but we have both got them going under, right?
I definitely got them going under. If it's 8.5, they're not getting a 9. I might be off on this team. I'm not 3 games off.
You think minus 200 to not make the playoffs is a decent bet there? Is that number too high?
What's the under bet?
The under bet is minus 115. I guess that's the better bet.
Why wouldn't you just bet the under at minus 115? You got 3 games,
Because I think at the most I could see this team maybe winning 9 games if something went completely screwy.
But
even at 9 wins, like
you're not going to pull the trigger. You're not going to pull the trigger. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. All right, moving on. The Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVay, of course. Their win total sits at 10.5. To go under is minus 105. To go under is minus 125. To win the division.
You just said under twice.
Oh, to go over is minus 105. To go under is minus 125. Sorry.
Thank you.
To win the division, they are plus 200. That is number 2 in this division here. To win the NFC, they are plus 600. To make the playoffs, yes is minus 180. No is plus 150. They are projected favorites in 13 out of 17 games. And their projected strength of schedule, number 23, just one better than the Arizona Cardinals. That is
what was the team total number again? I'm sorry.
Team total is 10.5 for the Rams. 10.5. They have had 3 overs on their win totals in the last 4 seasons. Definitely good. McVay won despite Goff. I'm curious the upgrade to Stafford, what that's going to do for the offense. Even with Goff, they outgained 14 of 18 opponents in 2020. They had the number 1 defense, the only team that gave up less than 300 yards a ball game on average, which is ridiculous last season. Finished number 2 number 12 in adjusted games lost due to injury. Normally would say, regression. I'm sorry, I wrote that down wrong. It is number 2. Number 2 in adjusted games lost due to injury last season. I would say that there would be a regression, that they should stay healthier this season than they did last year. However, before last season, they finished number 1, number 8, number 4, number 1, number 1. They have lost so many games to injury over the past 6-7 years. I don't even know how to quantify that. I don't know how that's even possible. We talked about the Washington football team forever and their medical staff not being able to keep teams healthy or keep guys healthy. These guys have been terrible at it. I don't even know what to say about that. They lost their star defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, last year. He's obviously a head coach over on the other side of town. They lost multiple position coaches. I don't know that it necessarily matters. Sean McVay might just be a god, and it is what it is. They were number 1 in EPA per play defense, number 5 in EPA gained per turnover, and their double-digit win totals, other than the Patriots, have only gone 45% over. So a 10.5 here. People really think that Matt Stafford is going to be it for them. Looking at their schedule, I don't know how great this defense is going to be this season. I think last year was not an anomaly, but I do think that the defense is going to take a little bit of a step back. And if they stay a little bit healthier, then yeah, they can absolutely win 11 games. But I think I'm going to go under based on principle. I think, 10-7 here. Stafford isn't always the healthiest guy, and he's older. I could totally see Matt Stafford getting hurt and them having to scramble to figure out something. I'm going to go under the 10.5 at minus 125 because while it looks pretty on paper, without Cam Akers, the running back, and expecting some kind of a regression back to the means on defense, that's the way I'm going to have to go.
I'm going to go over. I think this team is better. I do think you're right. The defense will take a step back. The offense will take a massive step forward. Regardless of what you think of Stafford and Stafford's availability, Stafford is substantially better than Jared Goff, and it's not close.
Yes.
It's just not. This offense is not going to look anything like this offense has looked for the last 3 years or 4 years, however long that McVay has been there. It won't look the same. It'll look so different, it's not going to matter. Losing Cam Akers,
not really going to matter.
Don't care. I just work under an assumption that they're going to find somebody like C.J. Anderson the year they made a Super Bowl run who hadn't played football in a year and a half and stick his fat ass behind the line, and he led all the teams in playoff in rushing every week. So I just work under an assumption that Sean's going to figure that out.
Birdie said it would be hard to make a win bet here, in my opinion. They are so dependent on Whitworth's health. If he goes down there in trouble, they've got no O-line depth at all. They don't have a lot of depth hardly anywhere.
No, the issue is you just O-lines just don't scare me anymore. I've seen really good teams play with bad offensive line, and it's just the way you zone block and the way you can scheme around a bad offensive line. It might be the easiest thing to scheme around than any other position, like losing major pieces on. As long as you have a healthy center, I think you can figure it out with just playing from shotgun, running nothing but short slants and screens and things like that, putting a lot of guys in motion. I just think there's a way to slow down that pass rush that these guys know about. So
yeah,
it used to be a thing that scared me to death. And now I've seen teams with great offensive line still blow. And I've seen teams with shit offensive line do really good. So,
yeah.
At some point in time, I got to figure out maybe it's not as important as I've been taught my entire life.
Yeah, if there's anybody that would be able to scheme it, obviously I think that we both trust Sean McVay to be able to do that. So if anybody was going to be able to do it, I would trust him. But this is, it's a roster with some older guys, and I don't know. I'm basically betting that they don't stay healthy all season. That's my bet, because I don't think they got depth hardly anywhere. We'll move on from there, and we are going to roll with the San Francisco 49ers. And let me tell you, their pick in the draft shocked a lot of people, and maybe not everybody, but a lot of people. Their win total, same as the Rams here, 10.5. To go over, even money. To go under is -130. To win the division, they have got the best odds to win the division, or I guess the shortest odds at +175. To win the NFC, they are +550. To make the playoffs, yes is -200. No is +165. They are projected favorites in 14 out of 17 games, and they have the easiest schedule, or strength of schedule, in the NFL. Last 4 years, they have gone under, over. So this year, if you just follow the math, would be an over season. However, this is a double-digit win total, which is always kind of difficult. We think we're going to see regression from the injuries, but just like with the Rams, 49ers have finished bottom 12 in adjusted games lost to injury in the last 8 seasons. That's kind of ridiculous. They just lose a lot of guys for whatever reason. They're facing the easiest schedule in the NFL based on opponent win totals. The luck stuff was awful last year. Their stats based on luck were terrible. Number 1 in EPA lost to turnovers. The third fewest fumble recovery rate in the NFL last year. Even with the bad luck, defense still finished number 6 in DVOA. If Jimmy G starts, Trey Lance is still going to be kind of looming in the background. They're going to eventually go to him because they believe that he is the future of the franchise. And I trust Kyle Shanahan. I don't know how they're going to get there. I don't know if they'll deal with the injuries the same way that they have. Looking at the schedule, I 100% see them going over 10.5 wins. I've got this team at 12-5, and I could even see them winning, 13, 14 games. I just think that the 49ers, if they stay healthy, which is a big if with that bunch, if they stay healthy in the right positions, I think that they're gonna get there. They'll probably be the number 1 or number 2 seed in the NFC.
I totally agree. I think this team is poised to make another run for the Super Bowl. I think they're really good. I think they are deep. That's all they've done was just load up on depth and get better and better. I think they're going to have the best run game in football. It's what Kyle Shanahan does. I think they had so many massive injuries last year on the defensive side, especially, and they were still the 6th best defense in the NFL. But getting those guys back, and we're not talking about just a few guys here or there, getting Bosa back changes the game for everybody. That guy is the ultimate defensive wrecker right now in the league. And he's just going to cause havoc and cause problems. I think they're going to be poised to make a real run. And here's the scary part, okay? Jimmy G is reportedly looking better than he's ever looked in camp. Saw that they drafted the young kid, and it lit a fire under his butt, and he's working his tail off, and he's doing really good. And Kyle Shanahan's response is that's awesome, because we've needed 2 quarterbacks the last couple of years. So the fact that now takes injury out of play, if Jimmy's playing great, Jimmy gets to start. And if Jimmy gets hurt, you got somebody behind him that's an absolute bullet that you can put out there that's amazing. And if that guy ends up being the future, that's awesome. If he goes out there and he struggles and Jimmy's healthy again, you put Jimmy back in. And this is how it works.
Yeah, because they have won games in the past with C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about 2 guys that their moms don't even know they play in the NFL right now. Right? And he won games with them.
Yes, it's unreal. Like, I don't understand how it works, but either way.
It was rough, and it was tough to watch, but damn.
Yeah, they open up the season at Detroit. They play at Philly, so you would imagine 2-0 to start off things. Then they play Green Bay, Seattle, Arizona. They got Chicago, they got Jacksonville, they got Minnesota, they got Cincinnati, they got Atlanta, they got the Titans, the Texans. I mean, the wins are there. Like, they are absolutely there. Andrew said Trey Sermon's going to be a monster this year. Look, he and Elijah Mitchell, the running back from Louisiana Lafayette. So, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns.
They still have Mostert.
Yes, they got a whole
And hang on now. Let me tell you about Mostert, by the way. Let me tell you about the Shanahans. They got a guy that they know ain't coming back next year. So let me tell you who's going to get the bulk of these carries until he can't carry it anymore.
That would be one Raheem Mostert, right?
Mostert, that's right.
Yeah.
Because he's not their future. So they are going to run him until his legs fall off. And they're going to say, go earn that contract for next year and let somebody else pay you. Because we got two guys here that we're going to try to keep healthy.
I like it.
I've watched Kyle Shanahan too many times. Not just Kyle, but his daddy, the same thing.
Yes.
You're at the end of your contract and you're already unhappy with your money. They're going to say, go earn that money, son. And then they're going to sit him out there to earn it.
Yep, and let somebody else pay him.
They're going to hand him the package over and over and over again. They're going to put the miles on him.
Birdie said, I like Nick Bosa for comeback player of the year. No one talking about him. He could win defensive player of the year. He's that good. Absolutely. I think it'll come down to him and Myles Garrett for sure.
I think those are two of the guys that I like a lot. But, yeah.
Birdie said, great look here on the Niners, boys. Only thing that scares me is their secondary. Yeah, I will admit, looking at the roster, just looking at who they have in the secondary, but hang on now. That secondary was terrible last year. They didn't have a pass rush, and that's my biggest thing is if they get a pass rush this season, I think that's going to fix help fix
the secondary.
100%. Birdie said, awesome stuff right there, Chris. Awesome. We're tuning in just for that. Matt Miller said over under 13.5 games started for Jimmy G. I'd probably go under. He hadn't been able to stay healthy ever.
I kind of see. I'm going to go over. But they might not all be for the 49ers. Because I mean, if let's say they're 8-0 and Jimmy G looks amazing right now, and you see in practice that boy Wonder looks ready to go. You play him a couple of games. If it looks good, Jimmy G is on a bus tomorrow, and you got a couple of first-round picks coming your way.
And all of a sudden,
maybe
Carson,
you go get a pissed off DB like the Rams did a couple years ago.
Or say that the Colts don't get Carson Wentz back, say he's got some issues with that injury. They need a quarterback,
Yeah, but they'd rather just sign him in the offseason than give up assets. They've made it clear they're not giving up any more assets for quarterbacks.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right about that.
Because he's a rental. He's an absolute rental.
No, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. Next, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. Oh, good gracious, Pete Carroll. 9.5 is the win total. To go over is -140. To go under is +110, which, by the way, with Russell Wilson at quarterback, they have won 10 games in 8 of the 9 seasons with him as the quarterback. They've had 3 straight win total overs, 12 wins last season, 11 wins the year before that, 10 wins the season before that. To win the division, they're number 3 at +250. So none of these are outlandish picks. Obviously, Arizona, the lowest at +500. To win the NFC, they are +1,200. The playoffs, to make the playoffs, exact same odds as the over-under here. -140 to make the playoffs, +110 to not make the playoffs. They're projected favorites in 9 games, and their projected strength of schedule, they've got the 8th easiest schedule in the NFL this year. The defense started poorly last year. They were the 9th best pass defense after Week 9 last year. Now, you go look at the schedule. It's not exactly a murderer's row, but they were playing better, so that's definitely good. They hired Shane Waldron to replace Brian Schottenheimer as OC, even after their scheme shift last year. They threw the football 60% of the time last year. 2 seasons before that, they had run the football 60% of the time. They were doing last year what I had been screaming for them to do forever, and yet they still were throwing it, still the most sacks in the league, still da-da-da-da, which turned into a whole offseason debacle, right? Just a mess. The second most difficult schedule in opposing defenses, even though they've got the 8th easiest schedule. So it's not going to be as easy for, Mr. Unlimited to be throwing the ball all over the yard. The offensive line still got questions. They brought in basically a nobody as their only free agent signing on the offensive line. Stone Forsyth is the rookie offensive lineman that they brought in the 6th round or something like that. Went 8-3 in one-score games last year. 2 straight years they have won 62% or more of their one-score games, which is unbelievable. Like, this is Russell Wilson does Tom Brady type stuff, and I don't know how he does it. Now, obviously, they got a good receiving core right now, but Chris, I want to take the under on this so bad. Like, I've got them sitting at 9-7, but I know that with Russell Wilson at the quarterback position, they're going to win 10 games. So I think the smart play is to go over, but after all the mess that we saw in the offseason, I want to take the under so bad and take that plus 110. Which way are you leaning here?
I've got this team at 10-7 exactly. The 9.5 scares me. So my play would be over in this situation. So far, we've picked 3 divisions. We've picked 12 teams now. And of those 12 teams, I'm going to have a ticket or already have a ticket on all but 4. 4 are complete stayaways. And that's because my number that I have them for and the number is almost identical, and that scares me. So I want to give myself a little bit of play. Seahawks are the only one in this conference that I'm that close on.
It's the NFC West gets to play the AFC South this year. So obviously you've got 2 almost guaranteed wins with the Jags and
you
Texans.
might have 3.
Yeah, it's possible.
Do you think the Colts are going to look? I mean, Gary.
They play the Colts week 1. Yeah.
What are the Colts really going to be like? Even with a completely healthy Carson Wentz, is anybody really afraid of them? Only morons who still believe in Carson Wentz are afraid of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I'm going to take the over here at minus 140. I want that plus 110 looks so juicy. Like, I could see them going 9-8, but I can't do it. I mean, I
can see it too, which is why it's an actual play, for an actual bet, it's a stay away from me. I can't put good money on this. Pete Carroll went from being seen as unanimously one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL to, I heard maybe 20 different people who cover the NFL give their top 10 coaches list, and he wasn't on over half of them. Didn't make a top 10 list. Yes. And I think it's because they see he's supposed to be the defensive genius, and his defense has systematically just fallen apart on his watch. And then also they see how badly he handcuffs the offense. Every time the offense starts looking great, he messes with it. And he's very open about, I want to run the football. I want to play this style of football. And it doesn't matter what wins. It doesn't matter. It's the first time. Take the picture of Pete Carroll down that still looks like a mid 50-year-old man. That's a 70-year-old man that won't change his ways.
Yeah. Do you think that the offseason stuff with Russ wanting out of there, do you think that does anything to the team during the season?
No, I don't. I think these guys are professionals. I think they figure the shit out. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process.
They all want to win. The beauty is they all have the same objective, winning football games. Okay. And they know that they have to do that together. All right. So when people kind of talk about, that's going to tear the locker room up, everybody's using the vaccine now, this guys won't get it. Will that destroy the locker room? No, I think these locker rooms are pretty damn thick. Over years, we've seen guys come through with drug problems, with gambling problems, men sleeping with other girls and stuff, of people and the teammates and stuff, and fights happen. All kinds of ugliness has happened over the century of playing football. And guess what? When they go out on the field on Sunday, they go to work.
Yeah.
It's what they do for their job. They take it seriously, and they really do their best. So I don't think little piddly shit matters. I really don't.
You might be right about this.
What I do worry about is Pete, though. Like hire some guys to run this thing and let them run it. Stop being so hands-on. Stop being so demanding of your way of doing things. Your way of doing things is going by the dodo. Like, you can run the football. That's fine. You can't run it the way you run it. Go see how Belichick runs it. Go see how Shanahan runs it. Those two guys run it successfully all day long, but they don't run it like you.
You remember how well Russell Wilson was playing at the beginning of last season?
Yes.
And
then Pete said, we got to stop this shit.
Yeah.
We're scoring too many points.
Yeah, and then dropped it back in and lost to the Giants towards the end of the season. I mean, they still won 6 of their last 7 regular season games last year. I mean, they won 12 games last year. 12 games. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, this team wasn't that good, you know?
But at the end of the season, they weren't that good.
And that's the thing.
Forget about the beginning of the season. They were pretty awesome.
Oh, the beginning of the season, they were tearing everybody apart. I mean, they were scoring a ton of points. And so they hit that lull where they lost 3 out of 4 in the middle of the year. And at the end of the season, they win 6 out of 7. Like, I just, of course, they didn't exactly beat a murderer's row at the end of the season. They beat Arizona, at Philly, at the Jets, let's see, against the football team, the Rams, and then the 49ers, who had nothing left at that point. So, I don't know. I want to, I'm going to take the over because I just think that Russell Wilson is going to do that. Would it shock me if they find a way to lose 8 games? No, because they keep tinkering with stuff. They keep messing with stuff. Just like you were talking about with Pete Carroll. I think that's it. And so,
I mean, the offensive coordinator that they brought in is the Rams' old offensive coordinator. Another guy that's worked under McVay got a job.
Yeah, but this is it's not like he called plays, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, Schottenheimer
took orders, which is what Pete wants. Somebody who takes orders.
Yeah.
But now he's got to call plays and take orders.
If they threw the ball 60% of the time last year and they swapped out offensive coordinators, what do you think the split is this year? You think it's 60-40 running to passing?
I don't know. I really don't. At some point in time, is somebody going to get in the head of Pete? Is this where the GM and the owner say, listen, Russell's got to,
we got to let Russ cook. Yeah.
Got to, like, when we let him open, we look really good. You have to move out of the way. You have to change your mind on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know who's going to do that. I don't know if anybody's going to do that.
You expect them to make the playoffs this year?
Yes, but that's because I don't think any other team in the NFC that's not a potential division winner is going to be good at all.
I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right.
Like, I think, somebody between the Bears and the Packers are probably going to win that division. The other team,
won't be very good.
They might be in the running for the wild card. They might not. I don't see anybody in the NFC South competing with Tampa Bay. I might be wrong on that, but I think the Saints are going way, way backwards, like on the roller skates on a hill, sliding backwards.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the other two teams are ready yet. I just don't.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And the same thing with the East. Like, we're gonna have 3 wild card teams this year, man. I don't know if I could find 7 playoff teams. So, all right. Let's see. I think that's gonna wrap up the NFC West. We'll do the AFC West on the Friday show. Is there anything else we need to hit on, Chris?
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a short show today. Shorter than usual anyway. It's still 47 minutes or whatever it is. Birdie said, thanks for the show, man. Good to see you lads again. Let's have a season. Looking forward to the SBR college shows once again. Win your day. So we'll go ahead and explain it again. First off, the website, winningcureseverything.com. That has got everything you need to know about us. Every show that we appear on, etc., will be posted over there. And Chris is doing the SBR college football show. I am doing the BetUS college football show. The links are in the description. Chris's shows are on Tuesday and Saturday. My days are on Wednesday and Thursday. So go ahead and subscribe to both of those channels if you have not already. And after the shows are done, obviously they will be posted to winningcureseverything.com. So go ahead and check that out. Show is brought to you by BetUS.com. Make sure that you sign up with the promo code NCAAF125. Gets you a 125% deposit bonus for the college football season. We are ready to rock and roll. But they got everything you need to bet on over there. UFC, baseball, football, basketball, da-da-da-da-da. Throw it in there. They got something to bet on. I guarantee it. So BetUS.com. We appreciate them. I think that's it. Chris, appreciate the time, my brother. Let's dive out of here. You guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out